I want to be able to highlight the home grower, highlight the caregiver, highlight the activists and the setters in our industry, which is super important. So I'm going to have various speakers throughout the day. Anybody that would like to speak or have some input are free to. We have lots of time throughout today and tonight. So at first, I would like to thank everybody for coming. The Legacy event has been everything that we hoped for. We have lots of immersive involvement from all aspects of the community, it looks like. We have music, we have the drawn art, we have the written word here, all the expressions that cannabis really is, and then of course the healing. So I want to kind of get into some of the healing and the testimonies and words that have really gotten us where we are today. And start off with Angel Smiles, who has been very influential in our state in the medical side of cannabis for a very long time, and has worked with some very important people that have helped get cannabis medicinally here and to the recreational space. So, Angel, I'll give it to you.
Thank you so very, very much. Am I working? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, we can go here. That's cool. All right, we got this. Hello. Welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to see so many amazing faces on one land, on one piece of land. One of the big things that hit me yesterday was the amount of history that is literally sitting on one land. There's so many layers and there's so many people that have done so much out in our community to get Michigan to where it is today. And we've needed every last facet of it. My name is Angel. A lot of people know me as Angel Smiles or even Coach Smiles. And then in part because I kind of grew up coaching. And then there came a day back in the Herbal Center when Darren McCarty, Red Wing number 25, used to come in and out for visits. And he came in already using cannabis to heal himself and to work himself through alcoholism. And in working himself through, I was able to give him a ton more information very, very quickly and introduce him to a couple of products that he ultimately ended up calling the Game Changers. As he walked through the building one day, he kind of turned around and he said, you know what? You are absolutely the coach of cannabis. He got super serious. Thank you so much. He got super serious a little bit later on in the back room, and he let me know that I should put that name in my pocket and I should pull it out and attach his name to it when the time was suited. And I'm not really that person, so it sat in my back pocket for the last 4 or 5 years. And when I realized, and it hit me, the amount of respect that actually was coming from an athlete of that magnitude, I decided it was very much so time to pull it out, because I've always been the coach anyways. Like, it did really kind of fit right into everything. But to back up just a little bit, my day started in the Green Bean long ago, 2009, 2010. I worked with Dr. Proctor in the doctor's offices, and I worked inside the Green Bean, helping our patients individually, one-on-one, with the medicine in front of me and their ailments, to help customize their medication, and it worked. That's what I seen right away, is that it was working. So it was much more of a consultant situation versus what we consider a bartender today. It took a lot to get us here, and we've had a lot of rotation in where we fall in line and how we feel about things. What brought us here ultimately is that original MMMA, the original caregivers, and the ones that came before that even brought us to that level, to be able to have that kind of a voice. The people at that point stood up and put their names on those papers and said, we want this. We want this for us. It's a medicine. So back in about 2008, when I started hearing those words together, cannabis and medicine, I was already explaining it as medicine, and I didn't even realize it. I'm one of those that has been using cannabis since I was very, very young. I was the toddler sitting on mom's lap because it was the only way she could keep me from climbing the walls, as she called it. I'm that baby in the womb that the mother used cannabis while she was pregnant. So it's something that's always, always, always been a part of my life. Without me realizing it, I was a very, very young mother. I had my first daughter 3 months before I turned 16 years old. It wasn't going to be around her in the fashions that it was around me. It was a much scarier time, and I couldn't have my baby taken away from me over choosing to smoke a joint. So it turned into break time. In 2008, when we started hearing those words together, and I realized that it truly had been my medicine, that I was already using it that way. It was that break, it was that knockoff, it was helping me eat. Something that I definitely struggled with for a long time. And I dove in deep. I needed to know why those things happened ultimately. I eventually came across, or quickly came across, that endocannabinoid system word and dove in deep. How many of us out here actually right now understand and know what that endocannabinoid system is used for? Wonderful. I love it. I love it because there's really a wide range of, we have our growers, we have our bud tenders or our consultants in the store and working with the people, and sometimes there's a gap in between the information. And coming from all the different walks of this, from being in the stores to the growers to being the grower to being inside the grow stores to understanding what's going on both levels, what I quickly realized is that not all of us do. If we honed into growing, we know that plant. We know how to create a wonderful, magical, beautiful plant. We might not understand why that plant works inside the body and why we actually call it medicine. So my version of the endocannabinoid system it's the balancing and regulatory system to our entire being. It's the first and foremost. It balances and regulates every system within our system, from our brains to our skin. Our skin is a system. We've been hearing our doctors for a long time tell our people that they can find the underlying causes of a lot of different ailments. Take thyroid conditions, for example. We also know that that is a balancing organ. It helps balance other systems within our system. And hence, when that one fails, it tends to start throwing off the other systems over time. What they fail to tell us is the underlying cause of that, of the thyroid system becoming out of balance, is the endocannabinoid system is out of balance. It's starved, it's not being fed. It's just like our immune system. It needs to be fed. The cannabinoids, just like our immune system needs the vitamin C. We know when we pump the immune system with vitamin C, we allow it to work at its optimum level. We allow ourselves to be more immune, per se, to the natural things going on around us, the colds, the flus, etc. If we quit eating the vitamin C, we quit eating the things that make that system function, it's going to be off balance. And that's the very same thing with the endocannabinoid system in cannabis. We have a plant that has a ton of cannabinoids that all have their own individual purposes. And then when they're inside that plant, it's like a tree. They all start bouncing off of each other and creating their own effects, creating the homeostasis within that plant, creating that homeostasis within that being, which then creates a whole other level. What the joint that I just got done smoking over here, what that joint did for me, and what that joint did for the other 3 or 4 that I was smoking with, is going to be completely different levels. And when we don't understand that, when we can't tell our people and our patients to pay attention to that, we might not create an overall problem. All weed is not the same, and it's not just our brick weed versus our great grown organics weed. It's also the individual strains. My brain looks at them like pharmaceuticals, to be honest, different levels of pharmaceuticals. If you come into me with anxiety, I'm going to know what strains to take you to truly help relieve that is, and vice versa. The way that it usually goes down inside the office and the way that I help people understand is the higher the sativa, the more that medicine goes straight to the dome, straight upstairs. It gives us that mind uplift, that energy boost. gets us going for the day. It's almost like a dose of caffeine. On the deeper level, the deeper that indica, the more that medicine goes full body relaxation, chronic pain relief, relaxing us for the day. Our anxiety medication. What I've watched over time is a change in exactly the level I just mentioned. Our indica levels. Our indica levels are what we consider indicas. And they're no longer relieving our anxiety. They're not doing that. And I quickly kind of honed in on the THC percentage. That is one of the reasons why is because us as growers, we honed in on the THC percentage only. And we started boosting that percentage up. And when we did, now the same strain, the same Granddaddy Purple per se that I could give my anxiety patients, now they're coming back to me telling me that that strain is giving them anxiety. Well, there's only one purpose. There's only one reason for that. We've thrown the homeostasis off within the plant itself, throwing the homeostasis off that within our beings. And we kind of need that back. We need to, in my humble opinion, after growing myself, we need to let the plant do its natural thing. It's great that we can peel it apart. It's great that we can individualize it, and I can actually help customize people's medications. But we also need that natural, what its intention was, back into. When it comes to the corporate level, when it comes to the difference between our caregivers and our corporate level, I've also played along and played a line in that as well with the politics and the court supports, the township meetings, speaking our mind, fighting for the caregivers and our patients alike. It's really not been fun. In hindsight, it's really not been fun battling the way that we've had to battle to get to where we are today, to be inside this tent like we are at the moment, being able to hold the conversations that we're able to hold, to be able to smoke the joint and have a good time and have the sesh outs. I've always said we can have a good time with it. There's nothing wrong with having a good time with it. People want to look at it like we're just getting high, we're just smoking a joint, that we're using the medical side of things because we want to get high. Well, there is a fun factor that we should be able to enjoy our medication just like anybody else would enjoy theirs, and I don't see a damn thing wrong with that in hindsight. There's the two worlds intermingling now in Michigan. We do have this corporate level of things, as well as our original MMMA program. It's been a long battle. It's been a long battle, and now we're all here under one tent, we'll say at the moment, on one land, doing what we do individually for a cause, and I think that's an amazing thing because it's been a long time coming. I would love for it to be able to continue in that right of things. I want to be able to, for the two programs to intermingle and support each other. There's a reason we're here today, and it is all of our originals. It's all the people that brought us here. It's all the people that have been fighting for this for a lot of years, risking our freedoms every day to be inside the stores. Thank you. To be inside the dispensaries, whatever you would like to call them, the provisioning centers, the dispensaries, the stores. I don't care what we call them. People need their medicine, and I don't care if they want to walk into an Apple-style store and get what they consider cream of the crop and pay out their wazoo to make that happen. As long as they're getting their medicine, I'm a happy individual. I want to be able to do what we do, though. I want to be able to not worry about what's happening in my backyard or in my home, and I want to grow the plant in my yard, and I want to bring the plant in my home, and I want to do whatever I want to do with it, and then I want to take it to my farmer's market, and I want to give it to whoever chooses to have it. We've lost a lot of people in this battle. We've lost a lot of people that would be here today in this battle. Two very recently, Carrie Justice. I'll say that again. Carrie Justice and Haas Plord. Absolutely. Absolutely. One more time, seriously, because Carrie and Haas fought their asses off for us to be here today, and they are two that very much so would be sitting inside this room with us today, wanting to hold this mic and tell you all about what it is that they've done and what they've helped do and what they think should happen and how much they want it all to work out, just like the rest of us want it all to work out. We can't have corporate level turning our caregivers in because they went and paid a whole bunch of money to get their licenses, and now they're upset and they're angry because they went and did what they did. They had a choice and we had a choice and we all made choices and we chose, and now I think it's been time for us to work together, and you all support us and we support you, and we do this all together as a team. Let us take care of the farmers markets while you take care of your box stores. Let it happen. Let it happen. I don't mind. I don't mind. There was a time that I did. I definitely tried to prevent this. Won't lie, can't lie, don't tell. I tried very hard to protect our people, as we call it. Carrie helped protect our people. Hoss helped protect our people. We tried to say what was going to happen. We tried to let people know that these battles were going to take place and that it was almost going to feel like war for a minute. And they were pitting everybody against each other literally by a dollar bill. They were holding a dollar bill and they were pitting us all against each other. And then there were choices made, and boom, the war carried on. And this is the second event, I believe, that I've been to where I'm seeing a lot more of the corporate and the caregivers kind of come together. The energy is completely different. The energy is completely different than what I've witnessed in the past, and I can't thank the group of people who have put this together enough, literally. I'll say it again, the amount of history that you guys have brought together, the numerous amounts of layers and layers and layers and layers of history that have been here that you guys were able to bring together is almost miraculous. I hope you guys keep going, to be honest. I hope you keep going with the caregivers in mind, and I hope we can keep working with the corporate level. They're here. I don't mind. We need their tools. We can literally work together. And I've been saying it for a lot of years, even back in the day when it was no more than dispensaries on the corners. Another dispensary would pop up and people would get, let's be frank, pissed right off. They're here to take. They're here to take. No, they're here to help in that right of things. There's room for all of us. Every last one of us there is a place for, and our people will be drawn to us. That's just how that goes. That's how we take care of everybody, not just one group or another group. There's a lot of people in through and around here that we've worked with for a lot of years in many different areas, and in a lot of ways it's been a blessing, and in a lot of ways it's been very, very difficult for all of us. And now here we are. So I'm going to stop, in a sense, babbling on, because that's what's happening at the moment. And just know that it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I can't thank you guys enough for doing what you've done to pull the legacy off. The legacy is in play. Big Cloud presents Legacy. We got fucking talking shit with Eagles over here playing games with the cameras.
That was it, right? All right. It's been a long time coming. My name's Tony Shenaniquit. I represent Native Cultivations and Michigan Tribal Cannabis Association. And I'm a student at LSSU in the business program. So this last semester, I had to take a class that was called Sociology of Cannabis. And the term paper that I had to read was a 10-page essay, and it was all about the history of cannabis. And so look at everything that we're fighting for today. We're talking about making rules so that we don't have to take our kids out of school so that we can give them the medicine that they need. Okay? We're trying to make rules pass that doesn't limit a caregiver and a patient in the way that they use cannabis. Like she said, we don't want to have to pay attention to what's growing in our backyard. So with all that said, it started out with back in the 1930s, in 1937, the prohibition started on cannabis because a group of people had a meeting. They got together, and it was big money. It was bankers, it was union heads, and it was politicians. They got together, and part of the argument that they had, or the problem that they had, was that the migrants from Mexico were taking jobs at a lesser price, and they needed to target this community and demonize them so that Middle America would ask for reform. And so they came up with an idea, and then the other guys, it was DuPont, I'll just say it. He invested in raw cellulose through lumber, and he wanted industrial hemp to be banished because it was creeping up and it was going to take over his investment. And so DuPont wouldn't be what they are today if they hadn't got their heads together and said, okay, we're going to create the Federal Drug Bureau, and we're going to put Harry Anslinger in charge of that. This is the son of a banker, just so you know. The son of a banker that was in this meeting was assigned to be the director of this Federal Drug Bureau, which is now today the DEA. And so the goal was that they made up this word that was marijuana, and then they wanted to associate marijuana with the Mexican immigration. And then they did a smear campaign, a drug scare that said, this is reefer madness, this is bad. These immigrants are bringing this to our country, and they're having our women, our white women, okay, use this medicine, or use this drug, which was a medicine on the shelf at that time. If you knew anything about cannabis, it was all over. It was sold over the counter. There were no incidents involved with cannabis, but when they changed the name to marijuana, it was now demonizing. And so THC, the psychoactive element, and all of these different attributes of cannabis started being targeted. And so they brought enforcement, and they started doing tax stamp. So let's go further into the future when Nixon came into office, and we listened to him on recording talking about how he wants to associate crack cocaine with inner city black communities, and how they want to continue to get this marijuana associated with the people of color. And so they started giving the DEA authorization to go into these communities and tear out their mentors, tear out the people that were just there for them, and now where are their next generation? You know, there's just animosity that affected these communities by our authorization. We would be okay for that. It's our government that's where it starts with. Nixon had a report done. It's called the Schaefer Report. It's a 600-page report that was done, and it came back with, no, don't put this on the Controlled Substance Act. Don't put it on there. It is medicinal. Don't put it on there. Nixon said, well, we're using this for a ploy, so we're going to put it on there temporarily. And it's still there. And here we are fighting about all this other stuff that's a trickle-down effect from this being put on the Controlled Substance Act to begin with. You know, my stuff, I would not have voted to have law enforcement come in and tear up people of color's communities. I would not have voted for that. I'm not that kind of person. You know, and since this research that I've been doing, I've been looking at myself a lot closer as a white woman, and knowing, okay, I'm not gonna walk across the street and dare a car to hit me. I'm gonna follow the rules and walk on the side, because a person of color would have been tackled for doing that. So just awareness. In our culture, in our cannabis culture, we're kind to each other. We love each other. We reach out, we help each other, We join associations together. So when big money gets involved, then, you know, there's a whole different environment and a whole different atmosphere. Yes, there's room for all of us. So we need to be the people that we are and not, you know, we need to be aware of where to start, where the beginning was. And so that's what my spiel is up here today. Blessings to everyone. Thank you.
How about that, huh? Good job, thank you. And that's the kind of grit that got us here, you know, it's that yelling into that, mine's a little mic, but it's a, you know, yelling out that passion, because it's passion and it's real. Next I'd like to introduce my friend and co-person in Michigan Weed Stores, Latricia Matson. You've probably heard some of her work with Weedsters and in the Capitol and with the Capitol rally that we do. She's absolutely amazing. She gets to the bottom of things and absolutely can do so many things that I wish I could. So with that, I'll turn that over to Latricia and see what she can bring to it.
Thank you, Rick. That was a very nice introduction. I remember a couple years ago in Hash Bash, I came up prepared and it was fucking cold like a motherfucker. And then Rick comes up to me and we're hanging out and I'm supposed to introduce him and Anton Harp, who was at the time part of the Hero Project. And I was freezing my balls off, dude. And then Rick comes over and smokes a joint with me, and I'm high as shit. And he's like, you have to tell them I'm from Big Cloud. And like 10 minutes later, I'm like, for what cloud? Blue Cloud? And I couldn't get it for like a half hour. To the finally got to the point where I was like, I can't introduce you, bro. I didn't come here for this. I was supposed to have a good time, not make a fool of myself. So I want to tell you, like, we have more than just this. So we have camaraderie, we have good times together, and that's what this is all about. Our freedoms to be able to enjoy ourselves with each other, to not have the veil of where the money comes from or where you can get it. It's about trusting each other, trusting our growers, and making sure our growers have a spiritual sense to the medicine that they're trying to provide to people. Because in our essence, we are spirits, and medicine from plants have spirits in them. Anywhere from ayahuasca, you name it. There are cures and medicine and plants, and there has been for beyond the time that we can ever imagine. So with that being said, I got involved in cannabis with Amy Carter, the directors of the Michigan Weedsters. We were just lobbying a bunch together, and a lot of times people were contacting us. What happened? And I got to be creating a website, and Amy was just like, "I had a dream. We should name it the Michigan Weedsters," and then that was it. It's like naming your kid. That's it. We're done. It was like a one and done situation. I made the website that night and got all the things going, and the next thing you know, community showed up. That was during the anti-caregiver bill. So if anybody in here is listening, who in this room is a grower? I don't care if you're a caregiver, who's a grower? We got growers in here? All right, well then now I'm going to give you a reason why you should care about the patient caregiver program. Because this, in essence, is the roots of every essential cannabis business in the state. Every employment, every single person that's benefiting from the plant, it comes from the people. We did this on our own. Now, we all had the same decision to get legalization and decriminalization. We'll work on deschedulation, but we're never going to call it decriminalization because it was never a crime in the first place. They decided to make that. So the idea at this point is, one, to go back to our freedoms and continue to keep them in our pockets. And this is an industry. in all industries. We're all old enough to know history. We're not stupid. And we've been saying it for decades, that it has to come down to, it has to be the power of the people. It's been forever and ever and ever, and there's so many people in this country that just are so, that you have to really wake up every day and live in purpose. And what I mean by that is that even if you don't have a purpose in life, get up in your day and do something on purpose. And as long as you do that every day, you're gonna hold the door for the lady over here. You're gonna have somebody, you know, we throw out all the time, hey, who needs RSO? The caregivers contact us. There's just so many different things that you can do in purpose every day, even if you haven't found your purpose. And that's what we're trying to produce with the Weeds is the ideal of will. We have wills, and the reason why we have them is because they were God-given. We were given them from our higher powers. And we're continuing to get disconnected from our higher powers because so many generations of people have been hypnotized from other oppressions. So there's always oppression, but it's just been done in a different way with a different mind. And a lot of people are starting to wake up, and with that being said, there are a lot of people to protect in this state, and there's a lot of people to protect in this country, and a lot of them are the people who have the right to choose what they want to do with their medications. For example, we have 65% of our elderly that they're on Medicaid or Medicare. That means that they're restricted to this program that continues to put them in like cattle and push them back out through polypharmacy. If you're an opioid use disorder person, you're going to have a synthetic opioid. So you can be high on opioids if you use ours first. And this all goes to bureaucracy, all the way up to the federal government. They know this stuff is happening. So the idea that we can do it here is to continue to watch the laws and the people being involved in our politics. Because if they're not about cannabis medicine, they're not about the fucking people in the state of Michigan. That they're not. And like, they're not for people at all, honestly, because it is, again, our will. And they continue to keep on trying to suppress us for our will, like we don't have one. Freedom was here before everybody told us that wasn't. So, we are in a position now where our parents, our friends, our communities have been destroyed by the drug war. We are still seeing our communities being destroyed by another type of drug war. If it's not crack and cannabis, it's going to be meth, it's going to be fentanyl. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I'm 43 years old. Most of the kids I went to school with were athletes who were all on Vicodins. Their parents' insurance paid for them to be on Vicodins. There was nobody there to tell them the repercussions of using opioids since you were 16. And by the time you're 25, if you're lucky to go to college and your parents still have you on their insurance, by the time their parents spent all that love and time and energy, they watched their child go somewhere where they can get a hit because their doctor won't prescribe them opioids anymore. And there's no programs to save them from that. So they literally let people die. And they continue to keep on letting people die. Now it's fentanyl. They know what they're doing. It's the same damn thing they did back in the day in New York when they put crack in communities. They're going to get rid of people somehow, and they're going to find money from the people that had it. And that's the bottom fucking line. So, as far as I'm concerned, my idea is to start thinking about our future, and they're continuing to kill off our future. Did you know that the highest rate of child death right now is suicide? Think about that. I'm a parent, I have 3 kids. I have to wake up every single day with the rate and the idea that one of my kids, when they say I want to end my life, they actually might fucking do it. This country is fucked, and we need to take the power back, and people need to start entertaining the idea that we are in this together. And that is what the Michigan Weedster is about. That's why when we go in a room, when we talk to people and you're listening, that means you are a Weedster too. That means you are in a tribe, you are here, power of the people. It has to be done. There has to be a name behind it. There has to be a symbol behind it. That's how this country works. That's how colonization works. That's how countries were created. And the only way that happened is because we did the work. The reason why people are winning, because they worked fucking harder than us. We denied, we ignored, we suppressed ourselves because we followed the line. That continues to keep happening in this country, and so many people are waking up to it right now. I believe every single one of you that's looking at me right now understands what I'm fucking saying. At these events, people don't spend a lot of time talking to each other, and it's time to get out of the stoner mindset and start understanding how our medicine works in communication and how we can start picking up frequencies and vibes between one another. I've been to so many events in the last 2 years. That's what I got into this whole situation in the first place. My best friend, single mom, she has a son who has opposition defiant disorder. She struggles every single day. There's no programs for her mental health. There's no programs for her mental health. So every single day, she has to have somebody there to support her. And it's just phenomenal what cannabis has done for her son. So behind that, I am following her. We are empowered to be fought on. And I can tell you this much, like, we just need help. That's all we really need is help. I mean, like, time. Show up to meetings, come to our events. At the, I believe it's in September, we're going to have a rally in front of the Capitol. It's going to be halfway to Hash Bash. And what we mean by halfway to Hash Bash is we're having Hash Bash on the Capitol steps. It's not going to be us speaking against anything. We're going to go there and get high as fuck while they're sitting in the Capitol. And we're going to kumbaya or whatever the hell we need to do to chant, so that way the world, the only way we win is to be heard. The only way we can be done is to be seen. So just keep fighting for one another. There's no reason for there to be any negative energy or frequencies between us. We need each other right now. The people of Michigan need you right now. The way that we're living, the unfortunate circumstance of inflation. Start doing some more homesteading. Start doing some more trading. Start growing some shit in your garden and trading your neighbors, or coming over and taking their fucking trash out, dude. Their daughter doesn't need to come home after she has 4 kids to take your mom's fucking trash out when you live next to somebody who has the ability to do it. So, one way or another, keep being good people. Keep on doing what you can to succeed. And, you know, if you guys want to help us out, we're selling these half-pins for $5 over there. That helps us with our travels. And we could desperately use it. So thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you, Trisha. I love her so much. And Michigan Weedsters and everything that we're doing and everything, every other group that wants to come on board or already is here. We're, like I said, we're all doing this together. So next, I think I want to talk a little bit about home growing and our legal right of home growing. It's something that's often overlooked and not talked about much because we have our caregiver motto, and we have, you know, recreational. So the fact that as a citizen, you, and everyone over the age of 21 can grow 12 plants at their residence is very significant. We have to hold that and not have it minimized. It's been minimized heavily in all across the industry, even in the caregivers. For instance, I'll give you an example of something that I did a few years ago. As a caregiver of 72 plants, I was very sustained in what I was doing. Financially, medicine production for my patients, and beyond, right? So with that sustainability, I noticed that I had 12 plants that I was allowed to grow as a recreational person, right? So I went ahead and did that outside, and I produced about 34 pounds, and I put it all into RSO oil and gave that away. And I did that to set an example amongst our caregivers that we can do things like that when we're doing well or we're providing adequately for ourselves. We have this whole other 12 plants that you can just do outside. Just put in that little effort because it's fun anyway, and we love that plant anyway, and it's enjoyable. So sometimes, I'll hear growers bitch and moan, but you can shut up. You love it. You know you do. And it is a beautiful healing mechanism for ourselves when we grow these plants. So home growers, I would like to have you reach out to the Home Growers Coalition over here in the back on the left. They can tell you a lot about what we can do to keep that strong, keep that permanent, and have more people get involved. Because there's nothing, you know, a lot of things that we did for this law too was the fact that we could create our own medicine. So even recreationally, you don't need a medical card. You can grow your 12 plants and use them medicinally and not even be a part of that program. That's something you can sustain yourself. You don't need a doctor, you don't need a physician, you don't need a pharmacist. You can do it all yourself, just like a tomato or green bean. So keep that in mind. Go over there when you get a chance and talk to them. Talk to my buddy Blaine and see what you can grow at your house. I'm going to take a little break here and we'll get some more speakers up here in a little bit.